Hunt Showdown has been out for a while now, and I don't know about you, but I spent the whole of lockdown playing this game and just trying to get good at it, because it's a hard game, and it has a stupidly steep learning curve. When I first started playing, the game just didn't feel right. It felt slow, clunky, aiming felt horrendous, and it was just a completely different change of pace to the games I normally played, such as Apex Legends, Call of Duty, Halo, and a whole heap of other stuff. And as time went on, that's what I really started to love about the game. There was nothing else out there quite like it, not on Xbox anyway. Hunt Showdown's pace and games which can last up to an hour are what make it so unique compared to other battle royales, if you can even call it that. In this video, I want to talk you through the settings that I use on console that helped me to find the game more fluid and overcome that learning curve a bit quicker. So without further ado, rule 1, or step 1, play the game. When you first start playing, it all feels weird. Going from a game like Apex, where you're running around 1,000 miles an hour, to this, where you're running around at minus 5,000 miles an hour, is a completely different change. And just embedding that muscle memory into your skull is probably one of the hardest parts. But now that they've added a single player trials mode, you can play the game without the fear that someone's going to come around the corner and just bamboozle your face. Trust me, it happens. Moving on to step 2. One of the first things I will always do with any game is change the settings, which can be found now. Once you're here, you can see you have all your basics. You've got your aim sensitivity, your controller schemes, your aim down sight multipliers, turning strength, aim assist, vibration, and then a whole heap of other boring stuff that you don't really need to pay attention to. The next thing you'll want to consider is whether you want aim assist on or off. I hear lots of people recommending you have aim assist off as it acts more of a hindrance, but personally I don't come across these issues. For new players especially, I would recommend keeping aim assist on, as it helps massively when trying to get used to the controller setup for this game. The next thing you're going to want to consider is whether you want to use the Hunter or the Gunslinger controller scheme. Personally, I use the Hunter controller scheme as I believe it gives me more control when aiming and when charging with weapons like the Martini Riposte and bayonets. Let me show you what I mean. Here I'm using the Hunter controller scheme. As you can see, the weapon is down, however in order to hipfire I have to press the left trigger. This is what they call aiming with purpose, and then in order to properly ADS you have to click in the right stick. To many of you this will seem very foreign, as games like Call of Duty run the standard left trigger to aim. However, when charging with things like bayonets and ripostes, having right trigger as your melee button can give you much more directional control and mobility and much more accuracy when trying to stab your opponent. Stab! Okay, in that situation I only had to charge straight, but you get the point. Now, if we swap over to the Gunslinger controller scheme, we can see a complete difference in how my controls play out. Now I've not actually used this controller scheme for a while, so it's probably going to be a bit exaggerated, but I feel it illustrates perfectly the lack of control I have when charging and clicking down the right stick at the same time. See, I ran straight past. You have a lot less control when charging, and when this is a hunter, it can probably wind you up dead. This is where holding right trigger in order to melee comes in handy, as you are not putting pressure on the right stick and making too sharp adjustments, missing your targets. Here's another example of using the riposte with right trigger. I know there's an enemy here, but I can follow him precisely with my riposte and end his life because I can use the right stick effectively to track his movements. This can also apply when charging someone across open ground. Have you ever had someone run at you, zigzagging left and right, but you just can't hit them with your bullets? And then before long they're all up in your grill, stabbing you in the face, and then you have to sit there and enjoy the freaking hunt loading screen? We've all been there. Well, chances are they'll be using the Hunter controller scheme. One of the final things I want to touch on is keeping your weapon down. When using the Gunslinger loadout, your weapon is constantly ready in hipfire. This can sometimes give you away when peeking around corners, allowing enemies to pinpoint where your head might be and ending your game then and there. However, with your weapon down, your gun does not stick out from behind objects as much, and it can allow you to stay concealed for longer, sometimes allowing you to get the drop on your enemies before they know you're there. And really, that just about wraps it up. There is a bit more I could say about sensitivity, but I feel like it's personal preference. I touched on it at the start and I showed you what mine were, so if you want to try those out, that works for me, it might work for you. However, it might not. Some people prefer a sensitivity that's a lot higher. Just play around with it, play the game, go into trials and see what works. Tweak it up, tweak it down, and then eventually it all becomes natural. However, at the start, I would recommend starting a bit lower than you're used to, just to adjust to the game's clunkiness. Because when you first start playing this game, it feels weird. Also, I'm going to be starting a series called The Hunter Mindset. It will be a series of episodes explaining what you can and cannot do in order to make yourself better at the game. I'm hoping to get this series out soon, so if you're interested in something like that and how to improve your gameplay, please subscribe to the channel. And I'm very new to this, so go easy on me. The structures of the videos may seem a little bit scattered at the moment, but I'm kind of hoping to improve that as time goes on, kind of like a learning on the job kind of thing. But yeah, that basically sets the foundation of the settings I use for Hunt. Oh, one more thing. I forgot about the gamma. Turn that to max, and yeah, leave it at max, because if you don't have it there, then you can't see a thing on night maps. It's horrendous. But I hope you enjoyed this video for whatever the hell it was, and I hope you learned something. Anyway, see you soon, bye.